Hey everyone, it's one of our last projects. It's the stock riser assignment. That's what it looks like. It's a miniature stock riser. What's a stock riser, you ask? This is a stock riser. We have a whole stack of risers in our riser storage area of various sizes. This one is 3 feet by 8 feet. 8 feet's a good number because that's what a sheet of plywood comes in. It's pretty manageable. The top and bottom rails are the full 8 feet, and then all the ribs in between, in this case, are 2 feet, 10.5 inches to get the full length of, or width of 3 feet. They are spaced at 2 foot centers, 2 feet, 4 feet, 6 feet, and that's lots of strength for all the theatrical applications that we need it for. We do make little grooves like this, about 1 inch deep. It's a great place to get your fingers in when you're lifting it, and it's also a nice height to run electrical cables if you have to put lights in various places on the set. But that's a stock riser. As usual, you're going to want to study the drawing, measure it as best you can with your scale ruler. I'm going to be looking to see that you have all these measurements correct, the finger holes are the correct size, they're all exactly that wide. And that's what I'm going to be measuring when I'm looking at your final product, right? That you've got, this is the correct as it is drawn on the page, that these are also the correct dimension as drawn on the page. This is what you're going to start with. I'm going to give you a sheet of plywood, cut to the correct dimensions. You're going to be cutting all your ribs and outside rails with this and this. This is 4 1/4, this is 3 inches wide. When you're making multiple cuts at the same length, which you will be doing on this project, a great little trick, and I have been holding out on you, is setting up what we call a stop block. I've got my line drawn here. I'm going to roughly see that that is where the saw blade is going to be cutting. That's just about perfect. I'm going to hold this piece nice and steady. And I've just got this little piece of wood, and I'm just going to rest it against there, nice and gentle. And I'm going to take a little clamp and tighten it on there. You always want to hold and control the piece between the stop block and the saw blade. After you've made your cut, grab your tape measure, double check the length. If you think it needs to be adjusted a little bit, this one maybe, oh, I'm just a 32nd or a 64th long. I'm just going to give a tap and trim it one more time. That looks pretty good. I'm going to do the same thing with my ribs. I'm going to be cutting 5 pieces that are all the same length. I got to cut 2 out of the 3 inch material, 3 out of the 4 1/4 inch material, but it's the same process. Line up your line with the saw blade. Hold that piece steady, put your stop block in, and tighten the clamp. I'm going to move it over just a tad bit. That looks nice. Now, using the dimensions that I found on my assignment sheet, I'm going to mark where all my finger holes go. I want my finger holes to be 1 inch deep, so I'm going to set my combo square for 1 inch and scribe those lines. I'm going to be using the bandsaw to cut these out, and I don't want to have too tight a corner here, so I'm going to try and draw my best 1 inch radius semicircle there. want to give the handle hold area here a nice round over, so it's nice and easy to handle, nice and smooth, no sharp corners of plywood. And for that, we're going to use another router with a 1/4 inch round over bit. This is a better view of it here. Again, that's your bearing, and that's the shape of the cut that it's going to be making. It just runs along there, and at the correct depth, just gives a nice 1/4 inch radius round over. We'll have a nice little station set up for you just like this, and if you start at this point and route it off this way, it'll do a nice job. I'm ready to start marking my 5-inch centers. I'm going to mark the centers for where all my ribs belong, but I'm also going to mark the other side as a guide for where I'm going to be putting my nails when I get to putting it together. Using some wood glue and my brad nailer with 1.5 inch nails in there, I'm going to start nailing it together. When you're driving your nails, keep your fingers away from there because you might shoot a nail off to the side and you don't want to have a big brad nail hanging out of your finger. When you're nailing your top layer on, you're best to start off with one of the short ends and then finish off with one of the long sides. I also want to run nails into those ribs in the middle, but I'm not just going to guess where they are. I'm going to use my combo square and mark where they actually are. Last thing to do is to router off the top edge here with that 1/4 inch round over bit. And you want to go counterclockwise around the top layer. Whammy! That's it! When I'm marking them, I'm going to be looking to see that you have made the correct lengths here. That should be easy because I'm going to give you the pre-cut top surface as long as you make it the same length, the same width here as well. But I'm going to be a real stickler to make sure that your finger holes are located at the exact spot on your drawing. It's in 3-inch scale, so you should have 1/4 inch accuracy for all these. I'm going to be measuring this distance, these distances here, make sure that these are all correct. That you've done some relatively nice cuts, that all your edges are routed on the inside here as well, and that especially your inner ribs are at those 5-inch centers. I don't want to see any nails hanging out at awkward angles, always nail straight into it. Same with the top, router off that top layer, and you're putting nails about every 3 inches. If you followed all those directions, no reason why you shouldn't do amazing on this project. So good luck.